Good evening, my friends. Good evening, and welcome to the banquet. And thank you for being here. If you've been here for the past 3 days, we've had a pretty amazing time sharing our knowledge. And I'm grateful to have been part of the organizing committee, to be part of the things that we talked about. If I made any mistakes as I walked us through the various schedules, I humbly apologize. I'm in training, and I'm doing my best, and I'm grateful to be here. So before we bring the dinner food out, my Auntie Marie asked if Pastor Faith could come up and bless the food for us, and so she's agreed to do that. So, Pastor Faith, if you would.
Okay. Creator God, we thank you for your presence among us these past few days. As we sit down at table and fellowship with each other, we ask that you bless this meal, that you bless the hands that prepared this meal, and that you bless our conversations as we continue talking, learning, and sharing life with each other. Let us be open to truly hearing and listening to each other the way you would have us listen and learn from each other. Amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor Faith. Isn't it beautiful in here? It looks lovely. The food looks wonderful. I'll be quiet now so we can enjoy our food, and in a little while we will hear from a special guest. Thank you. Good evening once again. Ande iguk amoksishim. That was some good food. Thank you all for coming. I must admit, it's really nice to relax here and visit with people and not feel like I have to chase you around with a microphone. So I want to make an announcement about tomorrow, the Akbe boat tour. Meet outside Sacred Grounds here at 9:30 in the morning. The bus is leaving promptly at 9:40, so please be there at 9:30. I believe Sacred Grounds will be open, so get yourself a kahwe and bring your own cup. Or buy a reusable one there. I should have mentioned that this morning. They have wonderful kalam aks, I don't know what the Tlingit word is, a water bottle that'll keep your drink cold all day long. And coffee mugs that will keep your kahwe hot. So I have the privilege and the honor to introduce our speaker this evening. He's a friend of mine who supported our efforts in language work in Juneau. His vision provided this beautiful, comfortable, safe space for us. He allows us to do our language and our dance group work in Central Council facilities if we're staff members. And these are important things. We need these things to do our work. And he'll be humble and say that's not much, but it really is a lot. And he's going to be sharing a little bit with us this evening about the importance of sharing our knowledge, which is what we've been doing here for these past 3 days. So it's my honor to introduce Chashi Ish, President Richard Peterson of Clinton Heights Essential Council.
I feel like a need for a collective whee. I've been telling people I've been an elected official since I'm 19 years old, and I thought I got over being nervous. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just the collective wisdom, the greatness that's in this room, but I've been nervous all day. So I'll start off by just saying, please forgive me. Anything I may say is certainly not meant for offense or any hurt feelings. But sheesh, how again, my Tlingit name is Shakya Ish, Kagwantana, the Eagle's Nest House. I was raised in my dad's village of Kasan on Prince of Wales Island. So I'm very proud to have grown in a very strong Haida village. I think I come from a collective of our great cultures, growing up in a Haida village. Very proud of my lineage. But yeah, still nervous. Hopefully that'll start to go away. I don't know. I just want to thank Peter and Ishmael for inviting me, for those that thought well enough of me to be here. Again, I get the honor to be the president of Tlingit and Haida. It's a sacred privilege to me. I uphold our recognized sovereignty, very sacred. But I want to say, and this isn't the first time I've said it, it won't be the last time I say it. Above all else, I hold the sacredness of our clans. We're clan people. Tribal systems, tribal governance is a Western construct, but we use it for the best of our communities, for our people, and I'm proud of that. But I will always say we're clan people. So, I think the idea of this conference, and I know it's been around a long time now, the idea of sharing our knowledge is something that I want to really bring some light to tonight, and the idea of sharing our knowledge really sings to my heart. And I think it's something that has started as a seed many years ago with this conference, and it's one I hope that grows, that all of our Native organizations, our tribes, our corporations, our nonprofits take to heart. A lot of our people don't know who they are. We have young people without names. We have people, because of colonization, because of government wanting to take our children out of our native homes and have relocated them, so many of our people don't know who they are. And I always think of our late, great Dr. Sobolov, who said many, many times, when we know who we are, we don't hurt ourselves. And in my role as president of Tlingit Haida, I've tried to figure out how I can be a part of that solution, how I can be a part of helping us know who we are. Now, I say that to be a part of because, again, I think that's clan business. I don't speak for clans. Certainly don't speak for other clans. But I think it's something that in our tribes and our tribal organizations, if we all take that on, we can start restoring that knowledge. We can start knowing who we are. And right now, I think we're living in a pretty amazing time. We're seeing our culture revitalized daily. We're seeing young people who are speaking our languages. We're seeing efforts put forward, prioritization happening in our organizations. And I'm very thankful for that. And I'm thankful to be a very, very small part of that. Saying that, though, I still don't think we're doing enough. And I get really frustrated when I hear people, even in our own organization, our own tribe, say, our priority is language. And I stand up here and say it. And I was at a gathering of speakers recently, and I said to them, until we start walking our talk, we got to quit saying language is a priority. Until we're really showing it's a priority. And I think even myself and Tlingit and Haida, we still fall woefully short on that. When we have the numbers of speakers dwindling by the day, I don't think we can take pride in saying this is a priority for us. And I don't mean to be critical, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but we are at a state a place where we really need to start walking our talk. If we're Tlingit, if we're Haida, if we're Tsimshian, we have to walk our talk when we say language matters to us. Sheesh to you. But we are in an amazing time. We're seeing programs develop. We're seeing more of our totems and our art wherever we go. And to me, growing up in a village where we had one of the only Haida longhouses left in the United States, where I grew up and we had totem poles all around us, when I go places in Southeast Alaska that don't have those things, I kind of feel lost. And so when I see, Douglas Indian Association, Gold Belt, Sea Alaska Heritage, Sea Alaska, when I see these entities putting up totem poles, pushing the medium into new art forms, I'm thankful. I'm thankful to see these icons that tell me I am on Tlingit Ani, that this is our land. And I've had the fortune or misfortune of where I work with elected officials. And I've gone to CVJ, and I see a good change happening there. We have some of our own getting elected there, and that's a very good thing, because I've had some of their past elected officials say, well, Richard, Juneau's not even a native community. Yeah, they said that to me. And I won't name names, but I will say, I looked right at this person, I said, oh, well, that's weird, this building's on top of the old village. There's pictures in this building that show it. People chalk it up to racism. I actually don't. I think it's just ignorance. I think it's what people don't know. And instead of being offended and mad, I take it as an opportunity to try to help educate people. Let them know not only were we here, we are here. And it's bad enough that these colonizers talk about us in the past tense. Really hurts me when I hear our own people talk about ourselves in the past tense. We're here. We haven't gone anywhere. It was awesome when Sea Alaska Heritage put up the 3 bronze poles. And, people could be critical and say that wasn't traditional. And again, I say, what we do now is what we do. We're not in the past tense. If we want to put things up in bronze poles, that's how Tlingit, Haidas, and Tsimshians do it. And it was so thrilling to sit there and see this event take place, to be honored to sit there and hear our artists speak and talk about why they do what they do. And one moved me just beyond words, and that's my good friend Davey Boxley. He gave his whole speech in Shamalgik. And one of the things he said is, this is probably the first time that's been done here. I grabbed him afterwards and I said, I promise you it's not. Our peoples traded and interacted together for 10,000 plus years. It's just about time. but it's not the first time. And we need to hear our languages in the air again, breathing life back into this land. I think this land cries out for our languages. When I look around and see the things that are happening, I don't mean to sound somebody who's against this or against that. I think there's a place for everything. But, we're seeing mining happening in our sacred rivers. We're seeing our salmon on historical declines. We're seeing our resources put at risk. I really believe that if our languages were just filling the air again, I really believe these things wouldn't be happening because we'd know who we were again. And I think I talk about how we're not in the past tense, we're still here, but I think part of us is up here is asleep. And when I hear our languages, it feels like you're starting to wake up. And it's a really amazing feeling. And it's really easy to do the little things I do to support, like Alfie, because I feel like Alfie's there. Alfie's one of those guys, he's not just quietly saying, get up, wake up, it's time to go to school. He's the one shaking the bed, get up, get up. And I really thank Alfie for that. We need more people like Alfie working to wake us up. I don't know, I don't think I'm alone in this when I feel that way. When I feel like when I hear people conversing in Tlingit, and you just, I don't speak my language. And I'm embarrassed to say that. But when I hear my friends, and I'm looking at some of you now, when I hear you conversing in our language, I'm paying attention. I'm not trying to listen in, and don't worry because I don't know what you're saying always, but I pay attention. It's pulling at something. There's part of me waking up. So I want to hear more of our language. I want to be able to speak more of our language. Must have looked like I was struggling. It's important to have that sense of place, to know that we belong. Again, and I'm going to repeat myself a lot in this, but, I go back to when we know who we are, we don't hurt ourselves. And I'm going to tell a real personal story about myself. A lot of you know, but some of you don't, and some of you will be shocked. I'm 16 years clean. I don't make any excuses. I don't blame anybody else. I could sit up here and talk about historic trauma. I could talk about all these things. They're all true. But I knew it was in me. My family knew it was in me to quit and to get clean. But, getting clean and staying clean, two different things, right? And they're not easy. And what was my salvation? I had been clean a couple of years, but still really struggling. And then a man who was always in my life, but really made himself present, kept telling me, Kassan needs to carve a totem pole. You guys have it in you to do it. You need to carve a totem pole. And this was a man who knew all about healing through his carving. He had lost his son to an overdose. And he knew my situation, and he knew I had only been a couple of years clean, and being in elected positions before, during, and after, it's pretty hard struggle sometimes when you're an elected official and you feel like it's your own people beating you up. Sometimes you feel like you are in a thankless position. But, in hindsight, it was a position I may not have put myself in, but I stayed there. And anyways, this man, Stan Marsden, Simpson man, he convinced me that we needed to carve this totem pole. And he had just a couple of rules. You had to show up sober. You couldn't have any alcohol or drugs, tobacco weren't allowed. And if you showed up, his last rule was, you're gonna pick up a tool. And it was through carving that pole where I feel like I really truly overcame addiction. Because since that time, I've never felt any urges, not one. I've never felt another urge to do drugs. And I will forever and Stan Marsden, as many know, has since passed on just a couple years ago, but forever in my life, I'll remain grateful to Stan for giving me that opportunity to be about something that was bigger than me, to embrace our culture and to pick up those tools and to be a Tlingit man carving. That's a strong thing. And I think those of you who have done it know what I'm talking about. It's just, you're at a different place. And I feel that way about our languages and our arts. And those are just facets of who we are. But they're so important. They're so much the foundation. And I go back to when we know who we are, we don't hurt ourselves. And we have a community now, and our people are facing addictions, alcohol, drugs, trauma, violence that we've never seen before. And I think it's because we're losing that side of who we are. And so we need to bring our culture into our lives. We need to be using our languages. We need to be doing our arts. And you focus on those, it's healing. When you go out and gather medicine, it's healing. Not just the medicine. And I know I look across the room and there's several people who are experts in our medicines. I wouldn't dare speak for them, but I bet they would agree with me. It's not just the actual medicine itself, it's the act of gathering it, of putting it up. That's healing, that's medicine. When you put up your fish and you share it, that's medicine. And not everybody has to be a language warrior, not everybody has to be an artist. Our culture had everything. We had people who did everything. Find your strength, your role, and embrace that. But make sure it's of our ways. And you'll find medicine there. If it's hunting and fishing, you'll find medicine in it. You'll find that strength. You'll start to know who you are, and you won't hurt yourself. I promise you. It's one thing to stand up here, President of Tlingit and Haida, and say these things. But in our tribal governments, our corporations, our nonprofits, we really have to start making sure that our tribal values, our cultural values are represented in everything we do. It can't be something you put a poster on the wall and call it good. That doesn't work. We have to inherently recognize our tribal values. we have to act out those tribal values. That means holding each other up with care. That means being there for one another. That means that we don't put each other down. Again, I'm here because, look, I was a mayor. I was a tribal president in my village, and everybody should have done everything they could to push me out of our village when I was messing up. They didn't. They lifted me up. They pulled me in. They gave me that hug, sometimes a little slap on the back of the head, that tough love. Because look, holding each other up doesn't mean that there isn't accountability. There's accountability, but you don't have to push our people away. You have somebody, and I know how hard it is when you have somebody who's struggling with addiction and they hurt you over and over and over again. But I'm telling you, it's not that person hurting you, it's their addiction. And addiction is like any other disease. And I've heard people counter that, but I'm telling you, it's a disease. But it's just like other diseases, it can be curable. But you don't cure that disease by pushing away the person you love. You have to hold them up, hold them accountable, but you have to hold them up. Another piece I want to talk about in sharing our knowledge is something I've been observing for some time, trying to figure out how Tlingit and Haida can be a part of the solution with language. We're taking small baby steps. We have our new immersion daycare. And I'm not going to pretend that we're going to solve the language problem. We're not going to create language speakers tomorrow by doing this. But each incremental step, we're building that foundation. But the one thing that really appalls me is we want our language warriors, our teachers, our apprentices to step up. Then we need to give them a livable wage. If we're going to say language is a priority, then your instructor shouldn't be living in poverty. If you're going to ask people to step up and learn, they're giving up a lot. They're giving up their life. They're sacrificing. And, maybe somebody can do it, but it doesn't mean everybody can. And nobody should be expected to do it for free. And so our organizations, we've got to come together. We can't, this isn't it shouldn't be territorial. One organization over the other isn't going to save us. We need to come together, and we need to put our resources where our mouths are. Again, don't say it's a priority if it's not. Then just admit it's not your priority. But if you say it's your priority, let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's make it a livable wage. I just am astounded. We ask our people to give so much. And of course we want to. Of course we're going to. But you can't even pay the light bill. But we're supposed to give all your time to working on the language. That's a reality. I see a lot of nodding heads, and I think you know firsthand the sacrifice it takes. If it's so important to you, then let's not keep our teachers and our students in poverty. Let's do something about it so they have a livable wage. And I'll say the same thing for our artists. I think if you're a weaver or a carver, you should be paid what you're worth. And I know I come from the village of Kasan, and I know the stories of Chief Sanahat, who was wealthy, very wealthy. And he would send out for artists all over, and he would want them to come and carve totem poles. I can guarantee you, he paid them a livable wage. We need to do the same thing. We can't ask people to dedicate their life to an art form that is exquisite, that is renowned. We have folks from the Smithsonian here. There's people here who care about our work and our art because it stands out amongst all that across the world as some of the greatest. Yet we don't want to treat our own artists like they're worth it. And I know I probably sound critical and I'm like this. I don't mean to be, but these are observations. You know, we all want somebody to carve us a totem pole, and we're like, oh, I know so-and-so. And it's like you expect them to do it for free, to put their life on hold and come and spend, months and months creating this totem pole. Is it for your ego? Because if it's for your ego, then I guess you can try to get away with it. But if it's for standing up our culture, for giving us, our people, that sense of place that our totem poles do for us, we should pay them what they're worth. When we ask somebody, weave me a robe, they put all of themselves into it. We need to treat our weavers and our carvers and our beaters as the amazing people that they are, and treat them like that and reward them for that. Because just like language, it takes commitment. It takes a lifetime of learning to get where they're at. And most of the time, our best artists are in poverty. I've seen it over and over again. Every time we have a raffle or we have this and that, hey, can you give me a bracelet? Hey, can you give me earrings? I'm not saying we don't do that, but let's remember to reward them too. Our people don't deserve to be in poverty, and we certainly shouldn't be the ones holding them there. One of the other things that I want to do and accomplish tonight is I look across this room and I see so much knowledge and so much wisdom. I see clan leaders. I see knowledge bearers. We need you now more than ever. Collectively, we need you to come in and help us. And again, I'm not asking anybody to do anything for free. Knowledge has value too. But we have problems. And I think in past times, it would have been you that solved them. And I'm not trying to put that weight on you now, but I feel like we really need our elders and our clan leaders now more than ever. We're really hitting hard times with some of the social ailments. And we need to come together for those answers. We need to make sure our people know who they are. One of the things it's really hard for me as the president is 4 or 5 times a month at least, I'll get some form of correspondence from somebody. And they'll be in the lower 48 or they'll move back to Alaska. And then these things, they say things that make me cringe, that sometimes really make me cry. And they'll say to me in these letters, in these emails, I was taken from my family. I was raised by a non-native family. I might be from this community or that community in Southeast. And then they'll say, I don't know if I'm Eskimo, I don't know if I'm this or that. And I'm just like, it's like getting punched. I might be some kind of an animal, maybe it's an eagle, I'm not sure. I see an eagle and I feel a connection, and I'm just sitting there cringing. We have so many of our people who have been taken away from us, and they have so many issues and they don't know who they are. We need to figure this out. We need to do something. Nobody should grow up not knowing who they are, completely taken away from our culture. If you follow me on Facebook, you know I was in San Francisco last weekend with our San Francisco Clinton Haida Community Council, their picnic. And I made a little speech. They have a dance group there now, and I was really just commending them and how great it was. It was 90-some degrees, so as soon as I was done giving that speech, I went and found a cool spot, sit down and drink about 3 glasses of water. In case you didn't know, I'm a big guy. It was warm, but this woman comes up to me. She said, "Can I speak to you?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And she was one of these people, and she gave me her story. And she sat there and told me how she grew up in a non-native family in Idaho, loving people who gave her, the best of everything they could. But she grew up her whole life knowing she didn't look like them. She felt missing. She felt like something was wrong with her. And she said, I've been able to reconnect with some of my family. And she even found out who her father was. And so because she knew who her father was and what clan he was, she thought that was her clan. And I tried to gently correct her and explain to her what matrilineal people we are and what that means. And I'll tell you, it's one of the worst feelings I ever had was when I was looking her in the face, and I felt like I was just re-traumatizing her all over again, because that little bit she had to hold on to, being her dad's clan, I had just taken it away from her. Not my intention at all, but it was a horrible feeling to look at her and realize in that moment how much just thinking she was this built her up. And it told me, again, when Peter and Ishmael reached out and asked me to speak tonight, what the title of my speech was going to be, and I was like reluctant to even respond. I didn't know. It was then that I knew what I was going to talk about. We've got to come together. We've got to do something, and I don't mean any disrespect, but how many times do we rush to adopt somebody who's not of our culture, give them identity? And I'm not saying don't do that. It's a good thing. But why is that easier to do than do it for our own people? At our tribal assembly this year, Jessica Chester was one of our president awardees. And she stood up here right where I am now, saying the same thing to everybody. She has classrooms of kids who don't know who they are. They call you grandpa, but they don't have an identity. They don't have a name. Yet we tell them they're our biggest priority, how much we love them. Why aren't we working to give them names? Why don't we show them how much we love them, how precious they are to us? I'm begging you, our clan leaders and our elders here tonight, let's do something about this. Let's give our children their identity, their name, their sense of knowing who they are. These little ones are going to grow up. We want them to grow up. They're our future leaders. But how can we expect that of them when we won't even show how valuable they are? We won't show them how precious they are to each of us and give them a name. The power is right here. I've known people who grew up in their villages their whole lives and still don't have it. I've watched somebody approach an elder one time. I said, my daughter needs a name. This elder literally said, then your family should do something. You know they didn't. All they felt was pushed down. We have to be the answer. Here is the answer. Again, let us show them how precious they truly are. Give them that name. I've watched my friends here, grown-ups, adults, strive to get their own name, to give their children names. But that should be us collectively. That should be our clans, giving them names. If they have a non-native mother, give them a clan. Give them that sense of knowing who they are. Let us prove they're precious. Let us prove they're going to be our next leaders. Gunakchish hawa in Deutsch nusam.
Can the Kagwantans come up? And the wolves? Kagwe Ayakat, Kagwantan from the Gooch Hit. From what I see from this conference is the message I hear is to hold each other up. And we want to take this time to let Richard know that we are lifting you up. And we probably should have done this at the beginning, but I just want you to know that we're here for you. And I'm his auntie, and I always have a hug for him, but I can see where we need to do more for you. And I would appreciate anyone that has something to say.
Khatsukunlchish yekhwaka khunki yachikin tkhwasa hatuklike ikha khunch tkhwai dalyat yakhsiyu dayuk ailiat yuhayat kiadat chuchagudakh ushkigachtul shat nujin yuhayat ki hatachkhan kisani Yewa hayati lingit Jesu ayahayati lingit ya Wuhan Wutua akhiyu katangi akhun achaya yidach ha wutua nak ya knalchish
Gwyneth Chish, Richard, for your words, for speaking from your heart. And many of us have heard your words, and our hearts are heavy. Just when we feel that we're making some type of stride. And then to have reminders of we're still leaving some of our children behind. And you're right, it is our responsibility to embrace those children. Because I too, I've been an educator most of my life, a foster parent, a grandmother, an auntie, and I still carry all those labels. And even in my own granddaughter's school, those kids call me grandma. So those kids, we need to reach out. It is our responsibility. If we're going to talk about our language or our culture, our lineage, it's those kids. That's the lineage. They're the ones that are knocking on our door, pulling on my skirt or gnawing on my kneecap, which is hardly anything left. But they're the ones that we need to pick up and look at them and tell them, "Ik zeg gaan. I see you." We need to do our part and talk to our clan leaders that are still alive. It's not too late. It's not too late. We can do this together. Let's work together. Peratrovich.
I'm the scared one. Kirada, James Williams, to the people that don't know me. Clan leader of the Yanyeri Wolf. I thank you, Richard. A lot of the things you've said, I would have liked to have said myself. I was a foster father to some kids. And I treated them as though they were my own. And people look at me and say, "You're doing it just so you can get money." I put more money into them kids because I love them as my kids, not as my foster kids. To me, we show no respect for our kids if we can't give them names. And yet they're our future leaders. We need to hold each and every one of them up, as well as hold all of ourselves up. Once we start showing that, we become that strong nation that we are. Right now, I feel in every organization, somebody's putting somebody down for some reason or another. We gotta stop that. That's showing our kids that we can only fight amongst ourselves, but not for them. Is that what we want? I don't think so. I've been sober for 38 years. But the other thing I'll say, I'm still that same drunk that I was the 30 years before. I fight this battle every day. It's not easy. Like Richard would say, it's not easy. And it isn't. I ran a grocery store for 28 years. And I loved that job because it wasn't a job. It was enjoyment, meeting people. I traveled around the world, and it didn't cost me a dime. I've talked to Germans, I've talked to Swedish, I've talked to Japanese, I've talked to Hawaiians. So I got to meet them all. And when I did make a trip over to Hawaii, the Hawaiian people treated me as if I was one of them. Made me feel really honored. Because they said, take a look at us Hawaiians. I said, yeah, I'm looking at you. He said, now I want to build a house over there. I have to buy that land back. That was our land. He said, whatever you do, do not settle your land claims at home. He said, keep the land that you got, because the land you got is worth money. He said, always look back at me. He said, we have to buy back our own land. Is that what we want? I don't think so. So that's why I say we gotta come together. Quit this nitpicking at one another. Come together as that one group of people we are. Not wanting to be. We are that one group of people. We gotta quit. You're on this side of the border and I'm on that side. My biggest dream is to one day challenge that border crossing and saying our laws superseded your laws, that we came and cross anytime we want. So I hope from this conference that we become the one people that we are, so we can march forward instead of keep falling back. Ganesh Chish.
This morning, King Geste gave us some words and saying we're not going to do this because it's tradition to give names to our children. We should do it out of love. And every child should have a name. They will have a name.
Koskiki. My name is Koskiki. We hold you up. You are a leader. I love this idea that we are a living people, that our traditions are what we do. We make them because we are the people. You said that so well. And I hold you up. We hold you up. Kunuchish.
I don't do this very often, so as nervous as you were, amplified 100 times. My Tlingit name is Kinze, Eagle's Nest from Sitka. My grandfather was William Nelson, Dog Salmon and Goon, and his father was John Nelson, Killer Whale of Hood Bay and Goon. And my husband Joe Zuboff always says that the women are the backbone. And so I couldn't not speak, because when it calls for support of our leaders, we are the backbone. And just know that we're behind you and supporting you. Gnuch.
Kuna sihia kaska ihan hayatke hakusti andaki nak hawakshi hatsahas haatas ihut tin kai yakut kuna sih kaska slakatihan. Like I stated the other night, we become child of our opposite, but they also become a child too, for them to recognize the people that are really have the understanding and the loving kindness for both sides, not only just the ravens or the eagles, it's all of us. But we always, because I can remember when my grandma told me, if you're gonna speak and if you're gonna lose a relative, don't be afraid to tell your relatives. We may lose a mother, we may lose a grandmother, or we may lose an auntie. They all come back. And I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen because I know I was brought up just like all of us. My auntie over here, she understands also the others, the way we were brought up in our Tlingit way, our Tsimshian way, in our Hawa. It's very important that we do not forget where we stand on this Mother Earth and how we relate to everything that's given to us. The Mother Earth feeds us. A lot of times I hear, how come you say that? Why do you tell that? It's true, ain't it? We just had something for supper. And we live off the land. We live off the ocean. Everything we have comes to us from the Creator. And I know a lot of my friends, I know, like the one he says, you're telling it right. That's why I'm going to tell you guys, be strong for who you are, not just because you carry a relative's name. The relative's name we all carry is very strong, real strong, because I was brought up just like David was from where he comes from. We all have that. Please do not forget it. Don't allow any others to tell you don't know what you're talking about. The reason why they tell us that they haven't lived among us, they haven't met their relatives that are here. I can remember about 20-some years ago, we had a bunch of elders that came from Honolulu, Hawaii. I can remember we were in a gathering similar to this. There was 15 of them. So in honor and love and respect for them, the Tlingit adopted all of them. I don't know if any of them are alive now, but still. I remember because I was here when it was done. So I'm not saying don't forget where you heard these words. You heard it from both sides, all of them. And it's good to see our younger people are stepping up for it. They're learning. And they do know, like my relatives up there standing behind Leona, you know, they may not speak differently. They speak truly because they were brought up with it. And we all were brought up that way. We don't ignore who they are or who we are. Because if we do that to one another, we're making somebody hurt. You're making yourself sad. And we don't need to do that anymore. I give thanks for the opportunity to express these words to all of you. Because it must be done. And it should be done on a daily basis. You know, we can walk out of here and go down the street and we see our relatives. If you don't go over and say thank you or shake their hand or give them a hug, they feel lost. How come he didn't come to me or she didn't come to me to say hello? Because that's what hurts our people when they don't do that. I thank you, each and every one of you, for taking the time to listen to all of us, because we all we're supposed to be working together. And it's coming about full term. So I thank you. So I thank you for taking the time to hear these words from Yisrael, because I carry Peter Johnny's name from Huna. Kunachi.
At this time, we'd like to invite Sam Johnston to come and respond on behalf of Ravens.
Wanso. Kaya ka, yuidak sto ka hadati. Hey, khuda kutu ariya. Akatuhin chatasa. Kiten adai jidunay. Wush in. Just shukada yuktiig. Yeti, ya kutu akat. Icha kudakhe. Ya shukanakik. Yeti yat. John Qua. Joa uyach. Yakiden. Yan mujakten. Ushin yejitune. Shukwa. Kunay kik. Yadeshu. Start with the Andy Hope. I tiaka. Achtlаг. Jo. Achain chsiti aqa. Ja, hain matu ade deslindach. Het duidelijk stoka gaat het hier gedaan. Achain hasnaki. Want zo katu ook. Ja, achat zo adia. Ja, ha je katange. Ha kusti. Gedaan. Misschien jeetje te de nee. Versterkt zoals. Kaya gedaan. Sa. Is de hoge zoeken naar kiki. Katu ook. Is kotu kiki ha als linker kosti. John ko. Ada kagachte ya. Stakkat owan wushin. Wushin hajen to slishadi ya gachtu la. Kunal cheese stakati wan. Oho. 2 ago, Ishmael, Yakadu Gudi, to Ish start with the Duida Staka that he to Atan Painejene. So I'd like to call on Ishmael, please. Ishmael, and this is just a little recognition of what you're doing and to carry on what your dad started. So hopefully that you can carry on, and I'm sure that you'll have all the support of the people. So thank you very much. And this, always tell them when I'm training people to dance, especially the boys, put these clappers on you so I can hear you moving your feet.
Yeah, away. So down in. rest of the week.
Yeah, my name is Dayach. I'm also a clan leader, and I'm a clan leader for the Kokatan, Raven clan at home. I want to say really thank you for letting us come to your guys' forum here and to discuss what is really important for our younger generation and how we're going to carry it and how we're going to balance everything with both clans. Because my dad, Jackie Williams, which is the opposite clan, has always told us at joint clan meetings, we need to balance things in life. Right now, the tables are coming up. You know, sooner or later, we're going to be balanced with one another, that people that live in our territory with us. You know? With as humans, we are all addicted to certain things in life. I have a brother, his name is Taku. All his life he's wandering around, just like a gentleman was saying, he was lost. He was lost until he was introduced to the Tlingit dancing, the music. Everything that he was looking for, he started to find. He told me, you know, brother, I have stopped doing the things I was doing when I was younger. It's because I found my culture. And now, you know, he does have a sister, or a daughter, who's taken that path too. I told her that I would love to dance like you guys. I love to speak like you guys with your native tongue. But again, I got such a bad barrier in front of me for what they did to me in school. You know? But we all got to overcome these things. And this is how we do it, by dancing, by being proud of who we are. You know? These are the things that makes us strong. These are the things that we could pass down. We do it all the time. But over here in Alaska, you guys speak your language strong, really strong. And I'll always tell the younger generation that I do see speaking their tongue. Goodness jeez. Thank you for starting to take that path. Even though I can't even speak my tongue, I am taking a step as my uncle that I took his place 26 years ago. And I always wonder, what am I doing here? You know, I am a clan leader, and it's very hard to make a living as a clan leader because there's no salary behind it. I did it because I believe in the person that put me here, and that was my elders. You know, my elders always told me, before you point that finger, you make sure you put a little bit of a bend in it so it's pointing back at you before you start criticizing anybody. You know? When you do criticize people or hurt somebody, sometimes it's easy to say, I'm sorry. See eye to people and tell them that. Because then you know it's coming from your heart. Through this whole conference, I started to learn and listen to all of you, young, old, people that are hurting, people that are struggling, that are starting to show those things. So we are taking those steps, but let's make it stronger. And we know that the celebration's coming up next year. I want to be down there to escort the canoe like I did last year, but I want to take my own boat because I know it might be my last time to do those kind of things because of the condition of my body. But again, when I go down that channel, every time when I come here to buy food and gas to go back up on the taku and fish. Some of your people are greeting me, and they could see us come through that channel in our little river skiffs. You know, my heart is really strong when some of our fishermen bring salmon here for the Tlingit celebration. We've been practicing that lots. And I encourage them to do some smoked salmon and bring it down here for the elders that are showing up at the celebration. So my heart goes out to all of you and to the younger ones that could come and join us to see what changes we are making. Because we also need these younger generations to be here, to listen to us, and to hear their laughter amongst us. Because those are the ones we're looking in to guide us and also to help us as we get older. You know? So again, Ganesh.
Richard. My name is John Wynn Yehekwa. In Klakwan, they call me John Wayne. And I say, thank you, Pilgrim. I am not Tlingit, I am not Haida, I am not Tsimshian. I've been adopted by my wife, Linda, and her aunt, Ruth Casco. They gave me the name Yehekwa. And you're right, Richard. It does have when you have a name, it has a sense of belonging. David Katzek, my wife's cousin, refers to me as Pops because his dad was Kanatati, and that makes me feel good. And he shared with me recently, because my name came from John Abbott, and I had been told that had not been used in 50 years. But David shared with me the other day, he had an uncle who had my name, who has the name I now have, Yehekwa. And that even makes me feel more closer to David. So I really appreciate that. My wife and I been married for 27 years, and we were in the same place at the same time 50 years ago with Archie Kavanaugh at Everett Community College, and we didn't know it. We didn't know each other then. And I wrote something that's very appropriate, and I want to share it with you now. There comes a time when a time must come for each to face the face where they are from. And from that face, they must decide if this is the face-to-face or the face from which it hide. And Richard, what you are asking is don't hide your Tlingit, don't hide your Haida, don't hide your Tsimshian. Let it come out. Gunal Chish, Gunal Chish.
I was hoping he would stay.
My sister, Ganatati's sister.
Chasli ish. Ik atu acht. Ik teg. Chet awaya. Chet. Ik doe dag. Hawak shik. Iati. Gunalchish. Achtwasigu Yag Khahani. Khatsu Hadet Khank Ian Hayatki. Kuatlatu Ayachat. Khatsu has to eat Rashinuch Wasa. Adusawewe Helas on Siku. Jutle Ishindain away. Has to tuwu yanuknuch. Helas on Siku. Dakwa na sawe. Gudach sawe ye hasyati. Achawe Gunalchish. I believe one thing I want to thank Richard. It's like he took his heart and he just poured it before us. Not only that, I believe as a people, as Tlingit people, as Tsimshian, as Haida, every one of us, every year, every time we have a clan conference, this is one of the issues. Every time we have a celebration, there's always an advocate from Tlingit and Haida that's always saying we've got to give our kids names. How long are we not going to answer that? I don't want it to be. The ladies sitting at the table with me tonight have family members that need names. And they have Ganachtedi background. And I said, I'll do it. And that's what we need to do, is help these guys to find, even though if they have a non-native mom, you go look in the background, you have to do it appropriately. We can't change them. And as a teacher, I just want to stand here. If you need help, I will leave my name and number with you. I want to step up to that call. We can help. Yeah, where? And I want to encourage, our people never waited for a potlatch. Our grandmas gave those names. And if we're a living people, like we say we are, can we go back to that and not say, I don't know? Make it a priority. Tlingit and Haida has a wonderful list of names. We did a wonderful list of names up in the Chilkat, too, several years ago. Some of our elders aren't here. And there are lists. Ask whomever is in charge of it, and I can help. I want you to know I'll help. Sheesh.
Joe, could you stand with me, please? Akin Han. Tuasgu Achin Hanya Yaka Shadhanik City. Octuik was said the 2 weeks in Nutra.
I want this person, Tlakyan Gutye, to come up here and stand with me right now. This man who is a tribal leader of his clan, I want him to stand with me right now as I speak to you.
The 2 away, 2 Hanuk, to the honor head, the 2
I could feel and I sense the spirit of kindness that he has within him.
To the honor, Kayet Yakyati, the Tundetanik City Nutra.
He is a man of peace. His spirit is calm.
Ya Kankiyan Kagwantan.
My in-laws of the Kagwantan clan. I'm going to stand here.
Okay. Och. So that has Kagwantan.
My children, the Kagwantan clan.
So Klit Gohas Kagwantan.
My grandparents, the Kagwantans.
So ya Ishas Chukanede, Akatas, Chukanshawu.
My father's people of the Chukanede Brown Bear clan and the women that of the Chukanede Brown Bear clan.
Chiyata Kokte Kodagutra, Kokte Kokosa, Ya Yanwasha, Chadechat no Johan to Akantkiyan City.
Those of you, I just want to step back here and express appreciation to the young one Shah and also those that are of my in-laws. As well as my grandparents' clan, the family, Shangukedi Thunderbirds. As well as the Yanyedi, who are also my in-laws.
So what's in Nadi?
Those of the Wasanedi clan are also my in-laws. Also, the Daklawedi clan is also all our in-laws as well.
Just Akhtuasigu, Ya Chak Asitiya, Kinde Kwashat, Adakaway, Ya Hashadahani, Ya Wasa Hain, Wututla Adadat.
I'm just expressing my appreciation to all of the Eagle families that are here right now before I say words of appreciation to our leader who spoke just a little while ago.
Jakohe wutu sikuha kinde wutu shatnus wustinha adusa haish hasksati jak asati aksanihas jokatas.
We have known this and practiced this for thousands upon thousands of years, that we were to love one another and to hold each other up. Those that were my in-laws and those that were my father's brothers, we were to hold them up as well.
So ya ta kanuku sati ha te kwe di kunaka ain protect was siech no chka ya na ha.
Those that are of the Tequedi clan, I want you to know that you're the most valuable outer shell of who I am as a person.
Yewe wutu sanoch kataya yewe yati no chkatlinget.
This is the way of our identity. As I have mentioned, all the other eagles that are out here in how they're related to me is how I'm sharing with you who I really am.
Johan tlasliat yetiha katsu tlasliat kokotiha.
I lose him about halfway. He wants to talk himself.
I lost.
I'm trying to remember.
That was good. You're talking about being nervous.
That's how our nervousness comes out.
Johan tlasliat yetiha katsu tlasliat kokotiha.
If they weren't here, I wouldn't be here either.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you guys hear that?
And this really, in a way, is part of having fun and talking with each other. Yewe yawaka, Yuhan kles yak ye yiwutin ye, Hatsu kles yak yechat kokati. But he said, if you weren't here, I would not be here.
Yat awech twasigu was ach ya yagiha ya kagwantan angundach. Our woods away wait late ka doing wutliat yatlingit khenach doing wutliat yat late ka. Achin kanani kwasai ikwakai.
Today, there was some speaking in the English language, and there was an individual speaking in the English language. And so I spoke in Tlingit and said, could you share with me what I said?
Wait late ka what just a tletin ka.
That person was just looking at me.
Yewe yawaka uhan tlingit asati a tlingit yakotangi yanakiki ka. Ya kuta tlingit kokoaha. So you in kokotsawasa or yawaka yatlingit the wet late kak enakin kakonika. Wanaksawa tlashi yeti Johan.
He said one of the things when a person was speaking in Tlingit and or in English, a person would translate and tell the other person what was being spoken, and the question was, how come we don't do that type?
A Tlingit was talking to another Tlingit in Tlingit. And that Tlingit was listening to the one speaking. And then after he was done speaking, he interpreted to the white guy what he was saying. And he says, how come you guys can't do that? How come you can't? When we talk Tlingit, Or when we talk English, how come you can't tell us in Tlingit what we're saying?
That's what he said in Tlingit. I didn't get it.
There's several things in my mind, and I believe it has in relation to what you're talking about. And I would like to, some of those things you mentioned have run through my mind. I sit and David and I have been doing language, and there's others that have been doing language, and they give us $100. And when these individuals there, because of our knowledge, and all knowledge our elders have always given to us, and those guys are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and we might get 1,000 out of a year, and from our knowledge. And I don't think that's fair. And I believe the reason why they do that is because they think we are lesser than. Our people are very intelligent. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. The A&B Alaska Native Brotherhood started with elders and individuals who just spoke Tlingit. And we didn't come here by our own. Through the organization you ran, you were officer in many times. So we need to honor our elders and our Hashukakau, those that came before us. Yat awatoch twasigu yacha akani.
Here's another thing I want you to hear.
Eoch atachaya kutnik.
This is what I heard in a story.
Yewe adatu atanya ka.
This is the way a man was thinking.
Ya ka ahe ujika yikach satiha.
This is way he was thinking about a lazy man.
Take who away you yaku. Oh no, I forgot that word.
He wasn't lazy, but he was thinking about.
This man was a lazy man.
Oh.
No, I can't even say the word anymore.
I'm sorry.
Jade I know one. Ya ujika ka ya ka satian.
There was a person who was a very, very lazy man.
Akawa du nechte wugutra, tsawe du it wugutra.
And this man went to his home and went to his bedroom.
Tade wugutra.
He went to lay down to sleep.
The katka ye tiha we du anika ujika.
Everybody is like that on their land. They're lazy.
That community was lazy.
Oh, the whole community was lazy.
Agawe atan kawe ka. Kuta ka du nehli de wugutra.
I'm having a hard time right now.
Maybe my son can come and.
Oh. The story goes that he went into another person's good arkan.
I'll translate myself. Yo, jikai ka khaweta. This lazy man was sleeping. Just tuck away atanus to the khun kitsu ye khunuk nus just ata. Agawan nechte nesle wugut khaw to nesle. From there was a man that came into his home and saw him sleeping. Ha, wanaksa ta, shino. He said, "Why are you sleeping? Wake up, wake up." Adakawe, From there, this man that woke up this man, because his community was starving because they were lazy. He had a box. This box has food in there. Good fortune has fallen upon you. Atude naskein, Tuadasa itowasigu adake kuticha atcha dat. Look in this box, and anything you want to eat is going to come out of there. And it's not going to run out. So he got this to the whole village was able to eat. But what I'm thinking about, Richard, is that you are that man that came into the homes. Shayna, think about what you want. Think about what your family needs. Think about all the children that need names. It's in the box. That's what the box is. That was that man's own vision of what he was thinking about. It was his own vision that come to his house. And it's like, you came to our house. Shayna, we have it in us. Ha-tu yeyati, yena karners chachlich, e-tu yeyati. You have the strength to do it. May not be in there, but you have the strength to do it. What did the elders say years ago about our culture? We're like a sinking ship. We're like a sinking ship, and we're trying to salvage whatever we can before that ship sinks. And at that time, the bow was only what was left. And all we have now is recordings. You have them maybe somewhere in Clinton and Hyde. We have them over at the museum. We have them at Gold Belt. We have them at Sea Alaska. That's salvage. But that's what we have. And that's what we can use. Hashagun. That is our ancestors who left that with us. Now we have to go and get it. We can't wait and go to bed and say it's going to come. Somebody's going to come and give it to me. We have to get up and look at it and say, this is what I want. And it's going to come. This elder used 3 or 4 words. I can't remember exactly what they are, but they really impressed me. And he said, I can't explain to you these words. There's no English equivalent. But there was another elder in the room, and the elder stood up. And he says, I got to answer this man because it was an eagle who spoke them, and a raven had received them. And he didn't just explain the word, he talked about what that word did to him emotionally and spiritually. That's how powerful our language is. When we know and understand that language and understand those words, let's help and try to help each other, not to just know that these are just sounds, but they have meaning, deep meanings. Because when I hear it, I'm very excited. It makes me feel good to hear it. I'm going to stand here just for that. No, but I think there's something else that I felt that I needed to say. And we just have to understand that our stories, our Raven stories, are not like little kid stories. These have deep meaning in them. And I was serious that whatever Raven the doctor was talking about, if it's the bird he's talking about, yes, he's not a god. But Hashigania was named Yech Klein, because you couldn't see him. Or Yech Klein and Yech Yadi when he was born and got the stars, the moon, the sun, and the daylight. That was Yech Yadi. And you can ask, how come he's Yech Yadi? Was his father a raven? Because I'm a Chukunedi Yadi, opposite clan. But the raven was born and he's Yech Yadi. How come his father was a raven, right? Because he was his own father. When you understand the language and these things jump out on you. So with that said, if I have ever offended any language speaker out there, you know, if we don't say anything, then we're not encouraging you. We try to correct because we want to encourage you that you can do better. I can do better. I want to do better. I know I make mistakes. I've had my sister correct me and even chuckle at me, but I had to suck it up and be a man. Yeah. And I can still stand here when you laugh, because I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know my relatives. I'm not alone. You're all here. Like if I was sitting over there by myself, someone maybe late call might come in here and say, how come you're sitting all, I'm not alone, look at all these people in here. In my mind, I'm with you, with all. So Richard, gonna teach Yukatangi. Hayin yitlaatcha, itek tudachawe, hayin yitlaatcha. Thank you, Richard, for speaking to us, and we felt your heart speaking to us. Gonna teach yewa.
Achtawatsagu teach yech zakaye, anyat kusani, achish has tachtloedi, klikohas tekwedi, to Akanyan Kagwantan. Gunishchish Yanyedi Wushkitan for allowing us to have this gathering. Gunishchish. I see the cohos. I'm going to humbly ask them to come stand up with us. Ed Coons, Herman Davis. It should have been the owners of the land speak first. My grandfather was Chakudihit, Eagle's Nest House. My uncle married into Chakudihit, Eagle's Nest House. So all my cousins are Eagle's Nest House. I married into Eagle's Nest House. So my children are Eagle's Nest House. So when I heard my son speak and he opened up the door, the one that we like to keep shut, that contained drug addiction, alcoholism, and shared with us his sobriety, broke his anonymity, admitted that he knows what that's all about. So I commend him for that. We talk about, he asked us about priorities. What are our priorities? I served 20 years with the fire department here, and I got to see alcoholism and drug addiction at its finest. I got to witness the accidents, the deaths, all the ugliness. Now we talk about why our children don't have names. Because of this disease that's going on around outside, the one we want to keep the door shut on. Even tonight, we changed the subject and started dancing as soon as that was hit. That's how we were with the fire department. Whenever we witnessed something really ugly, we changed the subject. And we moved on and acted like it didn't happen. I've been to too many incidents to not say that our priority is to teach our young children and our young adults that alcoholism and drug addiction is a killer. We're starting to talk like payoff parties are, I have heard it how many times now? A payoff party is a burden on my family. It's the other way around. When we don't have a burden, or we don't have a payoff, it's a burden on our grandchildren. So with that said, thank you, Mr. President. My grandfather sat in that chair that you're in also a few terms. And back then, their problem back then was, how do you say the word? Getting along with the white man. No. My wife spoke, said the women are behind you. And she's right, the women are the backbone. They are the ones that make Herman jump up and dance. They're the ones that make me jump up when I need to. So I know Clinton Haida has worked with the Red Road. And I encourage that to keep going because our children and our young children, young men, young women, need to know that we are behind them. We're going to push them forward to a clean life. My son sat with me. He's never seen me drink or any of that. And he's on his way to college. Our children are watching us. If you're not with them and you have a babysitter babysitting them and you're out having a good time, that's the way they're going to grow up. They're going to do the same thing. It's that simple. If you take a kitten and it's a female kitten away from its mother and it doesn't learn how to feed its offspring when it's time to have offspring, those offspring will die because it wasn't taught. Our language is important. Our culture is important. Everything about us is important. Our elders are important. Our language, most of all, our children. We have to teach them that we are behind them. It isn't my place to call on the co-hosts, but I'm going to give them a mic. Yewe, Ganesh Chish, Mr. Peterson, for your words. Yewe. Don't take too long.
I hear a voice in the wilderness behind me. Katsuk to watch the Google and chase you the Kaya. The cut your horn yaki with you. Hardest Hanke Yesaya. Hayatke Yesaya. Kahaet Haskoka Adia. Has the Jesaya, which cut to art. Yaha, Kashi, Hayukatangi, Hakustiye, Kahadachkatnik. Achiach tuye Yada yichsatini to cut your horn. Yak ye wutiye. Ho ho, ho ho. I'd like to, if you don't mind, sing a song for you. Don't get excited. It's not going to be what you think it is.
Elvis.
It's called When You Walk Through a Storm. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the cloud.
Kawasa.
I'm sorry. I think of our ancestors. At the end of a storm is a golden sun and a sweet silver sound of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and thrown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Ladies and gentlemen, when the Russians came on our land, a storm came on us. And after the Russians, the storm got worse. So walk on, with hope in your heart. We have a long ways to go, but we are now together. We are trying to get our lives back. And I want to thank the people from Canada who came here to participate in this gathering. The Haidas, thank you all for being here. Whenever I speak to, I always say, together we stand, divided we fall. And right now, I think we're all together. I think we're all together. Thank you all for being here, for this gathering. Akishas chukanede, akatas chukansha, akhta ishas, ka akhlit kohas, ka kwantan, taksewede, voshkitan, yanede, yai ane katas, hai ike yatat yes, takwase uke, gonna cheese ya, gonna cheese Ya ka haji ji ti ye. Ya ye ane kak. Gonna change. Thank you all again. You know, a little while ago we had Mr. Katsik and Mr. Paul Marks up here. And Mr. Katsik was translating Paul Marks. But you know, I have a bad ear sometimes. It sounded like all of a sudden David Katsik was speaking Tlingit and Paul Marks was translating him. Chade echad no, chade echad no. That's the way it sounded to me. Of course, earlier today, I told everybody that I'm deaf in one eye and I can't see out of my other ear. And I chish, and I chish.
There's a story about the raven, the raven of our legends, who was walking on the beach, and he saw a cave up by the trees, and he went up to investigate, and a bear came out of the cave and stood on its hind legs and growled. And the raven said, be still, my auntie's husband. I will show you something. I will entertain you. And right there, on the spur of the moment, the raven invented song and dance. That was food for the heart and soul. The bear really appreciated the raven singing and dancing for him, so he invited him into his house, and he brought out some dry fish and set it in front of the fire to toast. And he said to the raven, I'll be right back. And he went down to the beach and he picked up a big clam shell and a mussel shell and came back up. By that time, those dry fish were toasted. And he put his paw close to the fire and he put the clamshell down and he cut his paw with the mussel shell and held it up to the fire. And some of the fat started dripping into the clamshell. When he had it up there, he put a pitch on the cut, and he gave that to the raven to eat with his dry fish. Sometime later, the raven remembered his kindness when he had a guest. He did the same as the bear did, but he did not have as much fat on his claw like the bear. He got 2 drops, but he shared it with his guest. At these gatherings like this, I feel like that raven. I have not much knowledge to share, but I will share what I know. I'm so happy to see all of you here. Our guest from the Yukon Territory in British Columbia, it's good to have you here.
My brother Albert told me once you get a hold of the microphone, don't let it go. My children are Eskimo, part Eskimo and part Tlingit. So whenever I introduce them, especially with the race of people they belong to, I call them Klinkamos. Klinkamos. So there's my Klinkamo. Stand up, Mark. There's my Klinkamo right there. Oh, yeah, wait. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mark. Happy birthday to you. You're in the sun. He's 50 years old today. Thank you, Joey, for calling us up here to support you.
Yeah, well. Birthday boy, come on up.
Hey, I got one more song. Give it a microphone.
You still got it, boyfriend.
This is how you dance. Chatsuk tuasiku kunal chishu yakai. Sakadia hatiwa atiko. Ya kaitu si akiko. Kunal chishu te yitai kaka. Kunal chishtlen. Kakatlati khatu saku. Florence Mark Shakely, you got to a sock. Yes, not hot city. The Kakati, I had Chilkat Kwan, Kakun Kwan. The Kwasik, Yahashakatik Ka, Adeha eat Kayotania, Yahad, Yukatangi dat. Kaya ha atet kedat. Ya aksis ya kakhoch. Achik Austin Hammond. He used to always use Anna Katzig as his interpreter. And I'm going to use her son as the interpreter. I hope. hope I don't have to interpret. Yeah, hayatki.
We really, really value our children. We're raising them for
Seedlings.
For what?
Seedlings being raised.
I can't hear you.
They're seedlings being raised.
They're seagulls?
Seedlings. They're seedlings being raised.
She said, forgive my grandchild. He can't hear. I'll help. I'll do it.
Has to eat to the two, ya thing get kuste. Chago ka at the kusti ya yi.
It is so wonderful by the way that we're teaching these young people about life, the ancient ones' ways of teaching.
Has to eat to the two.
We are teaching them the real language, the very, very deep language of our people. And this is a very powerful way in which our children will use the language to think about themselves. This is the way we are as being Tlingit. Jeez. When we speak our language and we're talking our language, we think about ourselves in a completely different way.
Has to day on 2 I think it has to eat to the two.
This is one of the most powerful ways of our people when they thought about how important it was to teach their children on how to think as a Tlingit.
School to that.
It is so good, so fantastic, so wonderful that today the language is being taught in the school system. When we were young, nothing like this was happening.
Yeah, has shouldn't do good.
Our children have good fortune that we have the opportunity to lead them in a very, very positive place, a very positive place in their lives.
Richard
Was very, very good the way you spoke to us, Richard, our leader. Thank you.
Kunalchish, dahil haka. Yad sakat ka, yad kin ko o. Singkiti akchi, chakut kana ak, chakut ka I sa tuwo.
Thank you, all of you. And for when you hear the language being spoken, even try it, practice it yourself.
And teach it to somebody else. Teach it to your neighbor, your husband, and anybody that will listen. That called for a drink. Tlachwatsa yikeya. Chakute de yukakwatan. Tlachwatsa yikeya akhatikutin. Yejutune no church school. Or Harborview. Harborview. Atyatka to Satu Yasingit Kanak Yukatank. Or the Katuhan, which Kanak Katuta Ach. Singit Kanak Yukatata at in the Chako Awohan. At the Kwasik Singit to Achi that Chakles Ye Utiin. Hakek how Kaudu Ak. Hakek would do Wootsi. The Kwasa Achtu Sike. Yaigi, Yasingit Kanak Yukatli at Kiko. Tis Ahachkawashka. Tis ashamed Hasuste. Yahastu. Yukatangitin Yutas the Tani. Yatia at Yatke. Kunakakwasa. Achiach Achtinuch. Ja, think it kind of huge kassa atke. Ja, yektsike a. Tlakwasa keha oksachet. Ja, yukatangitin ya hasna at.
What she said, it is so great. It is a really wonderful experience. And she referenced me as her grandparent, that we as grandparents are working together in this place called Harborview School. And we get together as instructors. And it is really, really great to hear the sound and the voices of those of us that speak the Tlingit language, sounding all over the place in the school. It wasn't that way before. And the thing that happens is that in our working together with our students, the thing that we're bringing to our children, to all the children in Harborview, not just Tlingit students. All the students are aware of what is happening and the good fortune that has come upon them will continue to follow with them. And she said also that she is very, very, very happy to hear those of you out there that may be in the process of learning the language, but you're not afraid, you're not fearful to give it a try. And that is a thing that wells up with pride and joy and happiness within her heart as she hears the various sounds of the Tlingit language being expressed in a room like this. Man, I couldn't believe I could remember all that. This is the thing that, and just to add a little bit to it, you may never see this kind of thing again. I hope you do. But I'm standing here with my grandpa's people. And she corrects me. And I am glad that she does. You know why? Because she loves me. And she wants me to speak in the right way. I don't take it as a criticism. I love her. That's my grandpa's people. She said, thank you, thank you.
All I can say is, what a guy. You know, I'm going to speak in English right now, you know. Our children die. Our children are dying from drug overdose. Our children are dying from suicide and things like that. And we don't talk about it. We sweep it under the carpet. And I think it's time we started talking about it and telling people why they died, our children need to know that, the ones that are alive, the ones that are left behind. It's always been heavy on my heart because our family have lost people to alcohol, to drugs, to anything that's out there. We have lost them. And it's always heavy on my heart when I hear a young person passing away from all these things that the world is putting out there. When our children reach the age of 18, we set them out to the world, and we don't have no control whatsoever of anything that's introduced to them because we're not there. And all this has to stop. Even though they're of age and everything, you still need to talk to them. You still need to set them straight when they're going astray. Our mother was like that, like Richard. I had a good time myself, but my mother never gave up on me. I remember my mother used to come and hold my hand and talk to me. And here's one of the things she said to me. If I come to sell you a headache, are you going to buy it from me? That's how she equated alcohol, you know. Because after you have a good time, you still get a real bad headache. So that's why she uses that analogy with me. And to this day, I think about things that my mother said to me to keep me straight in everything. And thanks to my mom, I stand here before you at the age of 79. If I thought I knew it all, I probably would have went a long time ago. And our children need that. Our children need somebody to talk to them, somebody set them straight, somebody to say, hey, you're going the wrong way. I love you, so I'm going to talk to you, and I need to talk to you. And it's a charge for all of us, aunties, uncles, mom, dad, grandparents, friends. sometimes their best friends will lead you astray. And if parents see that, it's time for them to step in and say something. And again, I appreciate the fact that everybody that is here that stayed to listen, I see some empty tables, but those of you that stayed to listen, I appreciate every one of you for wanting to hear what is being said. Atling gunalchish ui dai kaka ho etsu Richard gunalchish klein adeha idkle tania. Yawa.
Richard, this might be out of order, but my Tlingit name is Kanatin. I'm Dakhlawadi, Kikushi Hit, and Klakwan. I wanted to say to you, Richard, my great-grandfather's people are Kakwantan. You touch my heart with talking about names. And even though my first name is Kanatin, was given to me at birth, my second name is my grandmother's name, Kachgah Wahah. I don't say it very well, but it means a lot to me. This past summer, Richard, my brother had 3 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters and a grandson. Didn't have Tlingit names. But a year ago, he approached me, and I talked to our clan leader, John Katzig. And then I talked to Uncle Smitty, Raven. We had long discussions of what kind of names that these children will have. I got permission, and this last summer we were able to give the names to these wonderful children in the Kikushi Hit house in front of the totems, with Uncle Smitty there to witness. You should have seen my brother's face. It was almost in tears to know that his grandchildren have Tlingit names. My husband, who is from my father's people, spoke very eloquently that brought tears to my eyes. I did a good job on house training. I know we're late, I know, but it was important for me to acknowledge how important the names are. I got a whole bunch of little killer whales swimming out there that need Tlingit names. And yes, after we had our little ceremony, we had a nice dinner. And they are going to be introduced in a kuwik in a couple of years. That's my understanding and how it is done. So guna cheese for all the encouragement that you're giving us. Guna cheese to all the elders that have spoken. Guna cheese to my grandfather's people, Paul and Auntie Florence. It just warms my heart. And David, it does give me a sense of belonging because I was born and raised in Washington. And I've lived here for 16 years, 16 glorious years living here with my people, with my ancestors. And it just, I'm getting healed. Gonna cheesh.
Thank you for hanging in with us. The lovely Ida has been waiting patiently for her turn to talk, so I'd like to give her a chance to tell you some words. And before she does that, I want to tell you, President Peterson, that in maybe 10 or 20 years, these guys, that's going to be Gilbamlacha and I up here doing that routine.
Sheesh, Jaltaketi one. I know everybody has been saying it's important to teach our grandchildren, and it is really very important because a long time ago our people used to even talk to the animals, and now it's unheard of. And I remember not so very long ago that my husband had mining claims up on the Stewart River. The Barker Creek runs into the Stewart in the Yukon. And my husband had claims up there at that time. I was working at the hospital in Whitehorse, and if you work overtime, you get time and a half for it. And my time, I had 12 days coming that I didn't have to work. And I phoned, my husband had a radio phone too, so he could talk to me every other day. And when he called one time, I told him I got 12 days, I don't have to work. I said, I got overtime. And he said, what are you going to do? My mother was living in Tagish at that time, and that's about an hour and a half from Whitehorse, where we were living at that time. And I told him, oh, I think I'm going to go down and hang out with Mom, I told him. And he didn't say anything. And in a couple of days, he called me again, and he said, I arranged for a chopper to pick you up in Dawson if you want to go to Dawson, and you can get on the helicopter there. And he said, would you like that? And I said, yeah. I said, I never rode on a helicopter before. So I went to Tagish, and I told my mom, I'm going to go visit Henry up at the mine. And she said, don't go, she said. And I said, why? I said, he's up there working hard, and him and those guys, he had a couple guys working with him. And he said, you better not go, she told me. Those choppers just fall out of the sky anytime, she said. Anyways, I said, I'm going to go because he's made the arrangements already for me to go. So when the time came, I went. But before I went up there, I cooked a couple of chickens, and I put it in the pressure cooker so that it could last for a while. And I took some fresh vegetables and stuff up there. And I went to Dawson, and I went to the airport, and they sure enough had a chopper there ready for me, so I went up to visit him. And then when I got there, at the camp he had a trailer, cat train trailer. They're narrower than the regular ones, you know, because it goes behind the caterpillars when they're hauling stuff around in the cold weather. And he had a cat train trailer, and that's what he was using. He had a bed on the back of the trailer, and then in front he had a window, a sliding window that you could slide the panes back and forth. And when he's not home, he has a plywood that he hook up to the outside window pane. So there's lots of bears up there, and you have to be careful. So he put that plywood up there, and when he's home, he could take it down, and it had legs on it, and he put the legs down and make a platform there when he's at home. And my husband is really crazy about birds, and he feeds the birds there all the time on that platform. And when I got up there the next day, after we had breakfast, I was washing the dishes, and that window was open. We had screen, and you could push it back and forth. And this little, Henry calls them whiskey jacks, but they're really Canada J. Mama calls them camp robbers. I guess you must have them around here too. Anyways, this whiskey jack came, and right close, and the table was on the other side of the camper, and I was washing dishes, and that bird landed right on the other side of that screen, and he looked right up at me, and he said, Kostana, 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 he say. And in Tagish language, Denke language, that means strangers are coming, he say. So anyways, I finished washing up the dishes and I got one of those jars of chicken out and I was making chicken soup, and while the chicken started to come to a boil, I was cooking bannock, and my husband came in the house and in the trailer, and he said, "What are you doing?" He poured himself a cup of coffee, and I said, "We're going to have visitors, so I'm getting some soup ready for lunch." And he said, "How do you know?" And I said, "The birds told me." He put down his cup and banged it on the table like that, and he said, "You gotta be nuts," he told me. I never said nothing to him. He went out the door, and in about half an hour here, Chopper came, and there was 2 guys from the water resources. They came there to check how much damage he ditched to that creek. And then he went down the hill and where the creek is, and he got those guys to come up and have lunch. And he never told me I was nuts again after that. So I don't know very much in the Denke language, because when I was about 7 years old, I went to school. Grandma used to talk to us in Denke all the time, and my father talked to us in Tlingit, and so did my mom. But when I went to school, we were not allowed to speak the language. And I myself had a sister that was 10 years older than me, and my cousin was 6 years older. And every time they came up to me, was the first thing out of their mouth before I could even say anything is, "Don't talk Indian to me." I must have been a chatterbox in the language. So I never did get punished for speaking the language, but I had a hard time with it, because I seen some kids stand up in the hall without any lunch and supper and nothing to drink all the time for hours. Sometimes those boys just fall over and faint. They're so hungry and stuff. So it was really hard when they used to punish the kids like that. Then when we came home, my dad used to talk to us all the time, and we had to know what he was talking about. So we were lucky we never lost a Tlingit part of our language. But the Denke, the Tigers language, I don't remember very much of that. Only my brother used to tell us when he's going to take us someplace to hurry up, hurry up. He'd tell us, "Khadi, khadi, khadi." That means hurry up. And those are the only 2 things that I remember in the Denke language. But I know it's all over the place, because Grandma told us 5 grandmas ago, she said, and it would have been 6 with her. She said, we had 2 winters in one, she said. We just got over one winter, and she said, and we got another winter before we even had time to pick berries and dry meat and stuff like that, she said, and people were just starving, she said. And some people went this way and some went this way, Grandma said. But she said we had a medicine man there, and he went to set snares on the river and the creek for a beaver. And here he did catch one. He caught a beaver. She said it was golden color. And she said that it was caught by one claw. And that medicine man made a bell out of caribou hoofs. And if you clean the hoofs out really good, the bone makes a noise. When you touch that net, it rings. And that medicine man heard the bell ringing, and here there was this golden-colored beaver was hanging on just by one golden claw. And he could talk to, that medicine man could talk to him. And that beaver told him, if you let me live, he said, I'm going to tell you where to get some caribou, he said. And so That's how come we got the double-tailed beaver on our regalia. And I think some of you saw my vest when I was wearing here today and yesterday. So that's why we have the double tail. But you know, about 15 years ago, the people in Fort McMurray invited us down there for a culture session. My cousin Clara Johns, and her married name's Clara Schinkel. You probably heard of her too. She used to teach the language and stuff. Anyway, they invited Clara and I down there, and after the meeting was over, this man came over and he started talking to us. And he said, I came from up north, he said, way up north in a cold country, he said. He said, my people came down here, they followed the caribou down here one time, he said. So, and those were the people that Grandma said moved down there to Fort McMurray. And they wanted to know if we could still talk Denke. But unfortunately, both Claire and I couldn't remember, because when we went to school, they didn't want us to talk. And we were lucky. Our family was lucky because our parents used to talk to us all the time. My dad said, no matter what, he said, you got to remember your culture and your language, he said. They can take that away from you, he said, and they almost did. But Dad said, this is who you are, he said. They can't do nothing about your culture. And he said, you got to remember who you are, he said. And so that's how come he used to talk to us all the time. Tomorrow morning, we're going back on the ferry, my daughter and I, and some of the people that came down here. At 6 o'clock, we're supposed to leave. And on Monday, there's a big session going on in Whitehorse. And they want to talk to the delegates, the people that went to the mission school. They wanted to know if that's what really happened to some of our people. And I remember, I was little enough to remember and to see how they treated. My cousin was there one time when they got two boys talking, and the teacher caught them, and he gave them strapping. And they put their hands out, and they told each other when the teacher went to get his big strap that not to cry no matter how much it hurt. So that man just strapped them until the blood came out of their blood vessels. And they ended up taking the boys to the hospital. And I just wondered what kind of story they gave to the doctors when they stitched up their sores. It must have been so terrible sores that they could have been charged for cruelty or something like that. And, so I seen what it was like, and I heard what it was like for all of us at the mission school. But I was lucky, we were lucky, our family. My father was raised here in this country because he was born and raised in Douglas, and he was a young man when they moved inland. And so he knew this country really good. And I thought that story about the ravens, how they could talk, yeah, and lots of people hear them talking, but they don't understand now. But I remember, those are the two words that I remembered, and my husband couldn't believe it, and especially when I told him somebody was going to come. We were way up in the bush, about 150 miles out of a city, maybe more than that. Anyways, and he wanted to know how I knew that Chopper was going to come. Well, I didn't say Chopper, but I said we're going to have visitors. And we went up there by boat. So that's why he told me I was nuts. And sometimes we have visitors from people in the next world. You know, my brother George, he was the one next to me when we were growing up. And as soon as I started to walk and stuff, it was his job to watch me when I was outside. And my mom was busy with the housework and stuff. And I used to want to walk. When I see the road, I just walk one way. And it was my brother's job to keep me around home. So anyhow, that's why I was really close to him. And when he died, you know, I just used to cry all the time when I was by myself. And here one day he came to me. I just went to bed and everybody was sleeping in the house, and I just got ready and I was just starting to cry when he came, and he said hello to me, and then he said, look at me, I'm okay. He said, I'm okay. God forgave me a long time ago. He said, how come you don't forgive me? He said, I'm okay. He said, I'm really sorry, but I'm all right. He said, please don't cry anymore. He said, he got into a fight with my oldest brother, and after he got a good licking, and he killed himself. And that's why I was so sorrowful, because he did it by his own hand. But he said, God forgave me a long time ago. How come you can't forgive me? He told me. I never cried anymore for him after I saw him. And about 2 years ago, I guess, my husband's brother in France, my husband is French, and the phone rang, and I knew it was one of his family, because I could tell by the accent, because he asked for Henry. So I got Henry to the phone, and then after he talked for quite a while, he said, that was my brother Louis. And I said, Louis, how could it be? I said, Louis died a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. You think I don't know my brother's voice? He said. And I was so surprised, because when our loved ones are gone, they never really go that far away. If we're lucky enough, sometimes they come and visit us. But they always, our old people say that you have to pray for them and talk to them when you get lonesome. The 1st of July, I lost my middle daughter, my middle child. It was unexpected. We didn't expect her to. But she'd been going to the doctor because she'd been having trouble with her stomach. And they asked her not to eat meat anymore. You know, for Tlingit people, meat is one of our staple meals. And so she had to quit eating meat and stuff, and they kept giving her pills and antibiotics and I don't know what all. And finally, when she went, the pain got so bad one time that she went over to the hospital, and my other daughter drove her to the hospital, and they kept her in there. In the afternoon, at lunchtime, she went in, and by 4 o'clock, they shipped her in on a Mercy flight from Whitehorse to Vancouver. And they operated on her, and she talked to me about a day after, and she said they found a blood vessel in her stomach that was really plugged up, they said. And she said they cleaned it all out, but she said, I don't know what they did to my legs, but my legs are sure hurting, she said. And they said that I should feel better, she said. but a couple of days after, they had to operate again, and she never survived that operation. So I apologized to, when they were dancing the other night, I couldn't get up and dance because in our culture, they tell us that we can't dance. So I apologize to the people that asked me to dance, but I was busy watching everybody else having a good time. So that's why I didn't get up to have a good time too, but it was nice to watch everybody being so happy. And I just wanted to tell you those stories about how the animals used to talk to the people up north. I don't know about in the south and stuff like that, but my dad's uncle in Atlin one time, he was busy trapping and stuff, and he was checking out his traps in the springtime, and here a big grizzly bear came and jumped him. When that grizzly bear jumped him, he grabbed the ears like that, and his mouth was wide open, and they wrestled around. They said that there was a big piece of ground where they scratched up the ground where that bear was trying to get a hold of him. And he said, he told that man told my dad after, he told him in Tlingit, he said, everybody in the village is going to laugh at you if you kill me. He said, they're going to make fun of you, he said, because you have to go around killing people, and they're going to call you funny and everything like that, he was saying. He was arguing with that bear while he was wrestling around with it. And finally, that bear shut his mouth and just let him go. But his arms were all scratched up from where he was trying to wrestle with them. And that's how I know. And myself, my husband and I were out hunting in the fall, and the birds came again. They said owls come and bring you bad luck. My girlfriend's husband died about a month or so after I saw that owl, and it was hooting at me. And then we went out again, and another one, and their oldest daughter died too, so I know the animals used to talk to the people a long time ago. So I just want to, it's good to hear all of you encouraging the young people to talk the language, because it sure is good to hear. Lance's little kids, they speak perfect Tlingit. You all know Lance, I think, and he's one of my cousins too, because my dad had family up in this country, and Lance's grandfather was my dad's uncle. So we always used to go down to visit them in Skagway because they lived in Skagway, and they used to save seafood for us, and my dad used to save meat for them. So it was really good that we had that together, and it was nice that we knew some of our relatives in this area anyway. Hardly any of them left now. All the old timers are gone, and in our country too, there's not that many people old. I'm one of the oldest. There's only 2 old people in Carcross now, and I'm one of them. So, and next month I'll be 91 years old. So I'm trying hard to keep up to my grandkids. And thank you very much for such a good trip. And it's wonderful that you guys are teaching the young people. Goodness cheese, just to get you warm. Oh, look. Oh, you're here. Okay.
Goodness quiche, everybody, for hanging in there. A lot of this weekend involved us listening to the words from our elders and it's very much what we're here to do. We're here to share our knowledge and to learn from each other. So I'm really happy to see that you were here to hear these important things that went on this evening. It was all very important. And if they invite me back to participate in the planning of the next clan conference, I'm going to tell them that when we print the schedule, we're not going to say schedule, we're going to say suggestions. Really quickly, President Peterson, Stan Marsden was the one who first taught me what it means to be a Tsimshian killer whale when I was about 9 years old. I believe that wraps up our evening. Thank you again for being here. Gum Go Town, President Peterson, for your words, not just to us, but I feel lifted up. And since you weren't here for my talk yesterday morning, I'm going to go ahead and give it now. Good night, everybody.